Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. I want to say a quick thank you to my guest on last week's episode, medical guide Dr. Glenn Wallman. If you didn't get to hear it, you can listen to all of our episodes at entertalkradio.com/makingit or download our app and take us with you. Also, be sure to tune in next week to hear my conversation with guitarist, artist rep for exotic guitars and effects, Kenny Etchison. And also, my upcoming guests in the next few weeks are including TV composer, guitarist Grant Geisman from 2.5 Men and guitarist, singer, songwriter Ray Parker Jr. So we've got some fun people coming up in the next few weeks. I'd like to take a moment to also thank the companies that help me sound my best, whether I'm performing live or in the studio recording and producing music. Blue Microphones, Taylor Guitars, Duesenberg Guitars, Seymour Duncan Pickups, Mesa Boogie Amps, Diodario Strings and Planet Waves, Motu Digital Performer, IK Multimedia, Fishman Acoustic Amps, and Exotic Effects. So often I get asked questions about the creative process. So I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat, as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. My special guest today is cellist and recording artist Tina Guo. Tina is an acoustic and electric cellist, recording artist, and composer with a multifaceted career and mastery in wide range of genres as a live performer. She can also be heard as a featured soloist in many film, TV, and game scores. As a classical soloist, Tina's engagements with orchestras around the world include the San Diego Symphony, the State of Mexico National Symphony, the Petrobras Symphony of Brazil, and the Vancouver Island Symphony in British Columbia, just to name a few. This year, Tina toured as a featured guest with blues legend Joe Bonamassa, performing at Carnegie Hall and with Hans Zimmer in his first arena tour around Europe. She was a soloist in Cirque du Soleil's Michael Jackson, The Immortal World Tour from 2011 to 2013, performing in sold-out arenas around the world on her electric cello. That tour performed to over 3.7 million people and is one of the highest-grossing tours of all time. At the Grammy Awards this year, she performed with Skrillex, Diplo, and Justin Bieber. Tina has been featured on the scores of Sherlock Holmes, Iron Man 2, Batman vs. Superman, The Monkey King 2, Clash of the Titans, Red Riding Hood, Abduction, Olympus Has Fallen, Escape Plan, CSI New York, Viking. This list just goes on and on and on. I could do this all day. Black Ops 2, Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and Journey, which was nominated for a Grammy for Best Score Soundtrack. Most recently, she is recording electric and acoustic cello solo for Pirates of the Caribbean 5 and working on her newest album, which we'll be talking about during this show. Please welcome my guest, Tina Guo. Hi, Tina.
Yay, hi.
Yay.
Thanks for that intro. I got a little embarrassed.
Well, don't be. It's all true. It's all true.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I want to kick off our interview and basically our conversation with just a personal question before we get into the depth of your music background and all the cool things that are going on with you.
Okay.
Tell me about your obsession with pizza.
Oh, I'm just a little fatty at heart. I think it started when I was a child. I was born in China, in Shanghai, and my grandparents, my mom's parents, actually raised me, and they kind of overfed me. So I ended up becoming. I remember when I first came to the United States at age 5, because my parents were in music school, so they came here to the U.S. Earlier, and that's why my grandparents were raising me, in the interim period. But when I arrived, I'm sorry, and they were at the airport, they told me they were like super shocked because I was so large. So at 5 years old, I weighed about 80 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding. So, I was about approximately as round as I was tall. But I think that part of me just never left. It's inside, it's in my soul. And I just love food. I love anything carby, anything super fat, anything super sweet, super salty, basically everything.
Right.
So yeah, I love pizza. Domino's is my favorite brand. I am not endorsing them, but I would love to if they wanted me to.
I would imagine they would love to have you as a spokesperson.
And I usually, my thing is I order the pan pizza, and that only comes in medium, but it's super thick, so it's probably about as many calories as a large. And I eat the entire thing by myself, and I do that I know, it's really bad.
That's why I'm asking.
I'm trying to cut it down a little, but it's on about, two times a week. And then I try to control myself the other days and eat different food. But yes, I do love pizza very much.
Well, it's very entertaining for me to see all the pizza photos that you post from around the world when you're globetrotting. Your musical education began at the age of 3 when you began your piano studies in Shanghai, China. And after moving to America at 5 years old, you began violin lessons with your mother, and then later began studying the cello under the instruction of your father at the age of 7. Mm-hmm. So I know that you then went on to study at USC Thornton School of Music on a full scholarship with Eleanor Schoenfeld, and you also had a Governor Scholar for academic excellence. So I'm curious, did you enjoy studying with your parents, or did you find it easier to take direction from non-family members?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm just very bluntly honest in general. So I'll just give you the reality of it, right?
Yes.
So growing up, my parents are Chinese, super old school, very traditional, and they're classical musicians. So growing up, just to, not go on and on about it forever, but we basically weren't allowed to listen to anything but classical music. I wasn't really given a choice whether or not I wanted to play an instrument. And I have to say, up until I was probably 17 or 18, I hated playing the cello. And this is the truth. I hated it because I was forced to practice. Yeah, I hated 6 to 8 hours a day, every day. So before school, I would get up, before the sun would come out, I remember I would get up, practice with my dad. So it was a lesson every morning, go to school, come back, practice, eat maybe really quickly, eat, do my homework, practice. So every single day, I didn't go on even some field trips. I didn't go to parties. I didn't do anything. And so at the time, obviously I was a little perturbed by that. And I became very, angry or whatever, which we can go on into that later. But I think it really fueled my, I don't know, maybe stage performance and my obsession with everything dark and gothic and metal or whatnot. But so I'm grateful for it now. But at the time, it was to me, it was horrible because I was not one of those kids that just, I don't know, wake up and feel like practicing all day. So it was something I was forced into. I was forced into the family trade. But I am very grateful because I have to tell you, without the 10,000 hours for a mastery in something, without being forced to practice that much, there's no way it's nearly impossible to become that familiar with the instrument, just on a basic technical level. So it was pretty intense. I basically had lessons every day from my dad, and that really helped me progress. Of course, I was entered into every local and statewide whatnot competition, and so my life was pretty much on the cello music track since I was 7 when I started playing the cello.
Mm-hmm. Well, then in a way, it did serve you well. I mean, because the 10,000 hours shows in your facility, but the rebellion and passion and dark side of you as a player, the goth side and the heavy metal side, is pretty exciting. And it's one of the things that makes you very unique as a musician, as a cellist, and because you live in both worlds. You seem equally at home on a classical stage in front of a symphony as you are in front of a metal band, or, you know, in the Cirque show, or all the other things that I've seen you do. So I guess in a way it did work out in a very interesting way for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful. And in the end, we really can't change anything. So it's all about how we choose to process whatever we go through, right? So
that's right. That's the only thing we have control over.
Yep. Yeah.
Is how we maneuver through life's challenges, and it seems like you have continued to land on your feet, and I can relate because my parents were not music teachers, but I didn't have the most ideal musical upbringing either, but I found I'm really grateful for everything that I had, and found a way to express my love for music as I got older, and find my place in it. Yeah. Are your folks, we're not going to spend the whole interview on your family, but how do they feel about your electric side? I'm sure they appreciate and respect your classical achievements. Do they get it? Are they horrified? Are they?
No, they totally get it now, so it's all good. But I remember, you mentioned earlier, I went to USC on a scholarship, which is good because I wouldn't have been able to afford to go there otherwise.
Right.
So I actually left. I dropped out after 2.5 years for a couple different reasons. One, because I started touring, and at that time it was mostly classical stuff. So just, I was gone almost, I would say like half. It was crazy. It was like half the time that I was supposed to be in classes. So obviously I didn't do very well in the classes, and the grades started going down. So I came to the situation where I thought, okay, do I try to continue building my career, which I also had to do because I needed to make money. It was a very, basic survival type of thing. Because, a scholarship doesn't cover living expenses or books or food and stuff like that. So I technically didn't really have a choice. It was super scary. My parents were beyond angry.
I can imagine.
Like, what? And so I don't think they really understood, which is completely understandable because in more traditional cultures, specifically Chinese culture, which is what I know about, so I should probably only speak about that. But, there's a lot of value put into not staying within the box, but there is kind of a standard of what is right, what is good. You have to get a degree, you have to get a job that, with your employee and all that. So I don't think they quite understood. And also I did struggle a lot, of course, because I had no money, actually no instrument, so I struggled a lot I would say I came to LA when I was 18. It took me at least 5 or 6 years to get to a point where I was, not trying to figure out how to scrape together the last like $50, $60 to pay my rent each month.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So obviously they also seen that. They were like, oh, we told you should go back to school, but I didn't listen, which always drove them crazy.
Sure. I'm glad for that you didn't listen. It's really, you really are on such a very special path as a musician, and it's really been fun for me to watch and be a small part of that. Every once in a while we get to work together, and it's always a joy for me, but it's really entertaining for me to watch your career.
Oh, shucks. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I wanted to ask you, for a musician with your level of facility and technique, the thing that impressed me the most the very first time that we recorded together, you know something? I'm going to actually save this question because because we're going to be going into our first commercial break. So let's do something very quick. Can you tell everybody your website?
Yes, my website is my name. It's tinaguo.com. That's TINAGUO.com.
And they can also follow you on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
There are so many places, but the main place to find you is at your website, and that'll actually take you to your YouTube channel as well, or should they go there separately?
No, my website is the portal to all things. So
Likewise, right?
Yeah, every social
all things
media
Tina.
site.
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm talking with cellist composer Tina Guo, and we are heading into our first break. But we've got a lot more to talk about and share. Road stories, tips, some inside perspective from a very unique musician and friend. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
And we are back with my guest, Tina Guo. And that's here, I'm just smiling, listening to this wonderful piece of music of yours. That was a piece called Child of Genesis.
Yes, so that's from my that was 2 albums ago. It's a cello metal album called Cello Metal. And yeah, there's 5.
So.
Yes, very very obvious name, I guess, but and there are 5 original songs on that, and then 5 covers featuring different guest guitar players.
Nice. It shows the other. Well, there's more than 2 sides of you. But that shows the metal side of you. I was just asking you a question before the last break, and I didn't want to have your answer interrupted. The very first time that we recorded together, the thing that impressed me the most about you, with all of the facility and technique that you had, was how much life and passion you were able to bring to playing a single whole note. It was fantastic for me. It was so exquisite that you just lived in those 4 beats, or if, you know, it was even better when I had a note tied over that lasted 3 bars, because you just, you breathe life into it. It was just so rewarding for me as an arranger. Where did you learn the importance of playing a single note as if it were the most important note in the arrangement?
You know, honestly, I don't think it's really something for me, you know, playing, oh my gosh, what is like the most non-confusing, non-existential way of describing it? I think it's, you know, playing music is more of just an expression. And I think for me, you know, expression of music, not just literally, you know, taking a bow and then putting your finger on the right note and playing it. Because I think if you do that, you become a robot, you know, and
right.
It's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And samples nowadays, especially samples, sound amazing. So in a lot of cases, like if you aren't able to add that additional emotion or whatever it is, the human element to it, then you may as well just use a sample. But for me, I guess it's not really something that anyone told me to do, or it's just more, I think it's just more me being slightly crazy and maybe slightly over emotional in general. So I think I just do everything. I don't know. I guess the answer is I'm not quite sure.
Well,
it's just
that's,
how it
and
comes
that's
out,
you know something
so.
that's a very honest answer. But
Yeah.
the thing that, you know, you are very emotional, and it comes across in your playing. But as an arranger and producer, I don't know that anybody has told you this, but I really appreciate that about you, and I appreciate that you care so much about every note. I just find it. Let me put it this way: there are a lot of musicians that have an incredible amount of technique and facility that find it uninteresting to play something that doesn't make them sound like they're technically amazing. You know, they wait for the moment where they can show off, and that's not what you do. So I appreciate that about you, and it's one of your very unique qualities, because there are not a lot of musicians that I know with your facility that have no judgment on the difficulty of the note, you know, or the passage. It's all the same for you. You play it from your heart. And
I actually think it's harder. It's actually much more difficult. I mean, I guess if you have the technical, you know, if you were made to practice or practice many, many hours, and you technical things aren't a problem, you know, once that is in place, I honestly feel like playing something simple is much, much more difficult. You know, making that into something, making it beautiful, that's a lot harder than just playing really fast, you know, because anyone can do that once you practice enough. It's not, you know, it doesn't actually require, it's just muscle memory, you know. So
I find the same thing with the writing of the music. You know, to write something profoundly simple is not as simple as it sounds.
No, not at all.
You know, you're just talking about practicing, and you're a performer, recording artist, a video producer, a composer, an arranger, a world traveler. You're a wife. You have a lot of things going on. How do you manage your time when it comes to practicing, managing your business, and being in a relationship?
Well, to be completely honest, you know, it's always like a balancing act. So sometimes certain things will require more time and attention than others. So it's kind of shifts back and forth. But I guess pretty recently, or for a good amount of time recently, I have been really focusing a lot on my music. And basically I have no social life. So I don't really, you know, maybe like I try to maybe hang out with a friend for literally a couple hours, not, you know, a long time, like 2-3 hours for a hike or something, or for a meal at the very, very most once a week. That's like one person per week. And it's not because I don't like people or I don't want to spend time with people, but for me, it just, you know, emotionally, energetically, and also just time wise, it takes away too much. And at this point in my life, I'm not super young. I'm 30 years old, but I really feel like the career in the music, I've finally worked to a point where I've reached not what do you call it? Where, you know, I've reached a certain point, but it's kind of a launching point, a starting point for more expansion. So I really just want to take advantage of that time. Also, while I'm still young enough and I don't have children, because that'll change things definitely, you know?
Yeah, it will. Well, thanks for answering that. It's always very, I'm so curious about how everybody, uniquely finds a way to manage to get things done every day, because there are so many things to do as an artist, and our world has changed as independent artists, and it requires so much time on things that can easily take us away from what means the most to us, which is the actual music.
Sure. And with my husband, we try right now, we've been averaging about like maybe 1 to 2 like date nights, which is actually kind of a lot, or maybe not a date night, like a date lunch or a coffee or something where I try to give 100%, because I realized something very recently, that it was a big problem. I think it's hard, when we're musicians, we're artists, and we're so obsessed, or at least I'm obsessed with the creation of the art, not so much myself, but just trying to, create everything, express everything, and grow in that way. And it can become completely just more important than literally anything. And I realized for me, I've been married for over 3 years now, that, just looking at myself completely without having a bias, because it's myself, I have been selfish. I have really put everything into my music. So now, pretty recently I've made the effort to, okay, I'm also going to set aside time. Like, we schedule it each week. Sometimes things change, but to make sure that it's completely devoted to, husband and wife time or whatnot. So I think that's much healthier.
Yeah, it is very healthy. You want to make sure you have fun along the way. Yeah. Absolutely. And to do it with the people that you love. Sure.
But other than that, it's basically morning to night music every day.
I want to read a quote from your website, which will lead to a question. Courtney Love told Rolling Stone magazine, "The cello that you hear is a really hot Chinese girl with an amazing rack and insanely good hair who is a heavy metal goddess on cello, Tina Guo."
Okay, she totally lied, because my boobs are 34B. That's not a big rack, but thanks, Courtney.
Thanks, Courtney. It's it's all relative. It's art, and it's beauty, and that's all subjective. I want to ask you about that, and I only felt comfortable reading that because you put it on your website.
Sure.
So it will lead to this question. Although you put music first, obviously, you have never shied away from using provocative outfits or nudity to express yourself artistically. Has that compromised your solo career in any way, particularly in the classical world?
Well, we're all human, and obviously sex sells, and, the image sells, and people judge everything by not intentionally, but it's just kind of our human nature to judge things by how they present themselves. And I guess in my younger years, so long ago, in my younger years, I was definitely, I think when I was still very, all of my art, my music, I remember having people comment, because everybody has an opinion, saying like, she's trying to be super sexy. She's trying to show, her body. Because I used to do a lot of artistic nudes as like a self-expression, but never, honestly, and it wasn't, people were like, there's probably someone telling her to do that. I'm like, no, I'm just expressing myself. I think the human body, human emotions, the music and the art that we can create, everything is the same thing, everything's connected. And so for me, again, about not listening to people, I just always do whatever I feel like doing. And if I regret it, you know what? I don't regret anything, but if I, realize later that's not something I want to continue doing, I just stop doing it. But there is there's literally nothing that I regret doing, because I think it's a part of growth and, experimentation. I also, because I don't drink, I've never done any like heavy drugs or anything. I've smoked pot, I tried it one time, and it wasn't really for me. For me, it's like the exploration of myself is not so much, psychedelic through drugs or whatever, but really expressing everything within me, within each person. Because we have a lot of like parts of ourselves that I feel like maybe sometimes people don't tap into because they're afraid, because society says you shouldn't. Sure. So to go back to your main question, of course,
did you lose work?
Did I lose work?
Did it compromise you in the classical world? I can see where it didn't hurt you in pop or rock or.
other stuff. Yeah, I believe it was only one. There was only one situation. I was supposed to do a concerto, so it's a traditional classical concerto performance in Massachusetts. And this was a long time ago, and it was canceled. And I was told, my agent at the time told me it was because the orchestra board went to my website and they saw some of the pictures, which honestly, Terry, they were like nothing. I mean, it wasn't even close to, anything overly provocative. It was just,
it was art and human.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any nude photos on there. It was literally just like maybe in like a dress without straps. I mean, this is super conservative, Right. And like, we think that it would be an inappropriate image for whatever. So, but that, as far as I know, was the only kind of opportunity. And in the end, it really didn't matter at all. It has no effect on anything, So
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually easier to be a woman, especially if you are able to sell your youth or your, the look. Of course, it's easier. It's much easier for women musicians, and I know some people think the opposite, but I actually feel like it's easier, and women can get more gigs, because certain situations want that look or that persona. So it's definitely been an advantage, and I'm not blind to that. So,
well, the thing is, I don't think anybody should ever have to apologize for being attractive. And we are in a visual as well as oral performance art form, and it's part of what we do. So I appreciate that you've embraced it and you don't apologize for it. And
oh, thank you. Well, it's not all natural. It's a lot of makeup. It's a lot of work. And I remember one time I went to, I think I was sick or something, so I wasn't wearing makeup. This was in college, and I used to live in a dorm, and downstairs there's like a coffee shop that isn't Starbucks, but sells Starbucks products. So I went down there just really quick. I'm like, oh, there's no way, no one's going to see me, because now I don't mind. I go around not wearing makeup sometimes, but at that time I was super, hardcore hour every morning putting on my face. Right. So I walked down, and then I saw like a friend. I said, oh, hey. And they said, do I know you?
Yeah.
Like, it's me, Tina. I'm like, what? I don't have my makeup on. And so, yeah, that after that, I wore makeup every day again for for a while. So it is a lot of makeup, but thank you.
Yeah, of course. You're also an avid writer. You've written a book called Event Horizons of Yin and Yang, a collection of philosophical prose and poetry, and you also hold a bachelor's degree in metaphysics. So, okay, I give. What exactly is a bachelor's in metaphysics?
Well, that actually happened I think I started 2000. Yeah, late. No. I started in 2012, and it was a remote, online, like remote study program degree.
Yes.
And this is while I was in the Cirque du Soleil, and they have this amazing program for all of their employees, all of their artists, that they will actually pay for any type of extended education that you do while you're employed by them, because you're touring and whatnot. But there's actually a lot of time. On the plane or whatever, in the buses. So I was always very interested in studying, like my focus metaphysics, but it's generally the study of everything, of theology, of different religions, of different belief systems. And that to me, I could talk about that forever, but I won't. That to me has always been another very, fascinating thing to me, going back to exploring every facet of ourselves. I was also very curious about, like everybody else's belief systems, and how do they come to believe this, and how do they come to become like this, and because everything is learned, and so so it was just something. I was reading some of these books, and I think I was just randomly going around online, and I saw that there's like a course listing from this online university, and a lot of the books were the books I was interested in reading anyway. So I figured, okay, I might as well have like a kind of a like a set, course for me. So basically it was a focus on just the different, mainly like theological. So all the different belief systems, all the different, kind of like mainstream and not so mainstream religions, and, what they believe and how, I don't want to, say anything like offensive or that, but like how they were, I don't want to say created, but how they came about, because everything has a beginning, everything has a start, like where everything came from. So yeah, that was, I felt like it was a very interesting, use of my time while I was on tour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the great things about Cirque also is all of the physical opportunities, the training, the massage, the Pilates, the things that they offer to their dancer performers, they also offer to their musicians. And I think that's really important and great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're a wonderful company to work for.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
We have about 30 seconds going into our next segment. Let me ask you one quick question. Well, it's not even a question. It's a word. Chinchilla.
Yes, I have a chinchilla. They are, I know rodent sounds gross, but he's not gross. He's really adorable. It's like a super fat mouse mixed with like a guinea pig mixed with a rabbit. It's like super, super fluffy. And he's from Chile, and his name is Chinchilli. Chinchilli the chinchilla.
I am here with musician Tina Guo, and we are going to take a short break and be right back on Making It with Terry Wallman. Stick around.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element, affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every
Are you
Wednesday.
serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome back. I'm here chatting with composer, cellist Tina Guo, and that was one of your pieces of music called Now We Are Free. Very beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, that's actually a cover of Now We Are Free is the main theme from the movie Gladiator, composed by Lisa Gerrard and Hans Zimmer. So I can't take credit for that, but that was my cover.
You do a lot of interesting covers, and I like the way you mix them with your original compositions as well. It keeps it interesting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a video that you did and a recording of a song called The Rains of Castamere. And your video has over 1 million views, and it's your most downloaded song on iTunes. What do you think it is about that song or performance that makes it your most viewed recording?
I guess I could say all kinds of, possible reasons, but on a purely maybe like business or logical level. I believe it's because at the time that I uploaded that video, I don't think it was right during season 1, but it was during earlier period. So it was a little bit earlier. And there weren't that many covers on YouTube of the Reigns of Castamere. There were some, there were a couple, but most people were covering the main theme. And I feel like a lot, with that's a whole other world of music, but like the YouTube musicians, like specifically musicians who only are in like the YouTube or they work from the YouTube kind of platform. It's all about, jumping onto the marketing and the timing of different projects, different TV shows, different things that are trending, having like the right meta tags or whatever, and then also doing something that hasn't been done by a lot of people. So I think it's probably some combination of that. And I mean, the piece is beautiful. I love that piece. I love the show. It's a very simple piece, and it's actually a very, very simple video. So I don't really know. I mean, it might be some of those things, and sometimes it's hard to guess what is going to, what's going to click and what won't. So.
You mentioned at one point that you were without an instrument, and now you play this beautiful French cello that was built in 1878, I believe.
Yes, yes.
Can you tell me about that instrument and how it made its way into your life?
Sure. So when I was at USC, I had a loan from the Colburn Foundation, which is a wonderful program, and they give loans to students who are studying to be musicians. So I had access to a great cello at that time. But then when I left school,
they wanted it back.
Imagine my surprise when I got an email, "Excuse me, we need the instrument back." So I freaked out a little bit, I have to say, and I contacted a lot of different foundations. A couple responded. The thing with cellos, more expensive instruments, so more high-end instruments, they are more rare than violins because there's just fewer made. And I tried a couple from a couple of foundations that were kind enough to offer a potential instrument, but they just weren't the right fit. So then I was getting really desperate. I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I have to find like a patron or, very old school classical way of doing things, which I'm not quite sure if that still happens. Maybe it does. But eventually I maxed out, I think I have 3 or 4 credit cards. So it wasn't that much, but I maxed them out for the down payment. You can write like a check from your credit card. And then I was able to get a loan, even though I technically didn't qualify for a loan, but I will be forever grateful to the Musicians Union, the Local 47 credit union. I went there, I spoke to the lady. I remember telling her like, my whole sob story or whatnot. And even though I wasn't technically supposed to be able to get a loan, I swore to her, I promise. I'm like, I promise I'm going to work so hard. I'm going to pay off the cello. I'll live in the ghetto, which I did. And I'll spend my money like paying back the instrument. So, and because of that loan, I was able to purchase an instrument, and it has been thankfully paid off like quite a few years ago. So now it's actually mine. And I really
that's great.
Yeah, I love the instrument. It's a little bit smaller because every cello has a slightly different, build depending on who makes it. But it's a little bit smaller, so I prefer instruments, obviously, because I'm not super tall. So yeah, that is the story of my cello.
It's a good fit for you. You two cello grow.
Right.
Make a beautiful couple.
Thank you.
You're also a Yamaha performing artist, and you were involved in customizing your electric cello. What was that collaboration like?
Well, I think so. I was with Yamaha from quite a long time ago. It's almost been maybe even a decade. And
that's not a long time.
Okay, so a short time. And I actually switched over. So there was a moment, I have to say, when we broke up, Yamaha and I, we had a moment, and because I was approached by a different company, which actually no longer exists, but they wanted to build a custom instruments. Because I actually did mention Yamaha, but due to the fact that they're aren't that many people or not a huge demand for electric cellos for like the existing electric cellos. There wasn't really any need for like a new model of a customized instrument.
Right.
And this other company actually approached me and asked me if I wanted to create a new instrument with them. So I did that, and I played that instrument along with the Yamaha, so both cellos during the Michael Jackson The Immortal tour by Cirque du Soleil for 2 years. But then after I came back, I like the sound tone quality. Honestly, it was still better. Like the Yamaha was still better. So I went back to Yamaha. He took me back. They were very, very kind. But yeah, so now I have 2 Yamaha electric cellos. The white one is a custom paint color, but the actual electronics and everything inside is off the rack. So there's nothing. There's actually nothing different about it. And I feel probably similar to guitars and basses and whatnot. The tone quality and your sound comes from A, your fingers, but B, from all the processing that you do after. So it's not so much the actual instrument, but what happens in between the instrument and the amp. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you've been in the studio. I know you're working on a new album and getting close to completing it and a new video. What can you tell me and our listeners about that?
Well, it's one of those things where I'm technically not supposed to talk about it yet.
So we won't.
No, it's okay. I won't say anything specific. But if all goes as planned, October 6th, which is next week, oh my gosh, time flies. Yeah. There will be a press release and an announcement and a new music video to go along with that about this album situation. Right, this situation. The situation. And I'm just really excited and really grateful for the opportunity because this new situation makes it possible so that I can afford to put a little bit, more money into production and have other people work with me. Stay tuned. They'll be
I'm very excited about this, and although we're being a little bit vague and secretive about it, you can find out everything you need to know in about a week by going to tinaguo.com.
Yeah, any of my social media sites, yes.
Yeah, the internet will be plastered with information about this record, but I'm very excited to hear it. I really am. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
When you were on the Cirque du Soleil tour, you also ended up meeting your husband, Ray, and that was probably not what you expected when you said yes to that tour.
Actually, it was kind of what I expected. No. I mean, my husband wasn't in the circus. He was actually, I met him while I was on the road. He was living in Italy at the time. But no, I mean, a part of my thing, I also thought, because I dated, men, of course, in LA. Obviously, nothing really worked out. So I also did think like, oh, well, I'm going around the world on tour. Maybe I'll find, the right person for me, the right guy. And I think before I got married, honestly, my obsession with like dating and finding the right guy, I think that was more important to me slightly than even music. So it was really, I was really serious about it. So I met him, we met in February of 2013. So it wasn't so long ago. And it was right before I left the tour. Right. And it was really fast. I mean, he proposed after 6 weeks after we met in person. We got married 4 months, like exactly 4 months after we had our first date in Italy. So yeah, I'm really grateful that it worked out. I think if you really, I believe in manifestation. Obviously, there has to be, there has to be action behind that, but the complete focus and obsession again with whatever it is that you're trying to do, find a husband, make a record. I really, really focused on it. And I was on all the dating sites. I was like putting myself out there. And in the end, he actually found me. He started writing to me. I think he emailed me and then he Facebooked me and then he added me on Skype. So it was really, like we were both in the same place, I think.
So, and you were both ready for that in your life and for each other. But you ended up, you didn't meet in person first. You were actually Skyping and emailing and getting to know each other.
Yeah, we met that way. We met on Facebook. Actually, I would say like 90% of my previous, dating or relationships or guys I've dated, it was all online. It was very like some through, through work or whatnot. But I try my best not to mix music stuff and work with dating because, that can lead to some uncomfortable situations, which has happened, not very much, but it's just not a good thing for me. But yeah, so I for whatever reason, like I think most of my exes I met on Facebook. So I love
rest of
Facebook
your question.
very much.
There you are.
Oh, are you still there, Terry?
I'm still here, Tina. Okay,
oh,
great.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you dropped out for a moment.
Oh, I did. Oh no, I was just saying I've met most of my exes on Facebook. So
got it. Yeah. When did you decide that you wanted to start playing the how do you say the erhu?
The erhu. It's a Chinese instrument. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so basically what happened was I was asked to do actually a cello solo. So we were doing the Journey. Journey is a PlayStation game that came out a few years ago that was nominated for the Grammy for the soundtrack. So I was playing that, like the solo part with the orchestra, with the Golden State Pops Orchestra here in the Los Angeles area. And I was asked by the orchestra, by the way, since the erhu is a Chinese instrument and you're Chinese, we were just wondering if there's a chance
That's presumptuous.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's probably more likely that a Chinese person would play a Chinese. I mean, I don't know. So, but I'm very not to the point where you're like being dishonest, but I always say yes.
I do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, always yes. Even if you don't even know what on earth is going on,
then you figure out how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they asked me, do you play the erhu? And I said, yes, I play the erhu, and I've never played the erhu before.
Of course I do.
And the concert was in 2 weeks.
Right.
Thankfully, the music, it wasn't like super, super difficult. And the erhu is kind of similar to a cello. I mean, there is a bow and there's kind of strings but no fingerboard. And I thought, how hard can it be? It's kind of similar. So I went on Craigslist because that's usually where I find a lot of stuff as well. Might have met a couple exes on Craigslist as well. But anyway, so I went on Craigslist. I was looking for an erhu, but an erhu was not possible to find on a local Craigslist. So I actually ended up ordering it the same day from a music shop in Texas, of all places. I carried a whole line of them.
That's unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah, very unexpected. I paid for, speed shipping, and it arrived, I think, a couple days later. And that I spent 4 hours a night, like every night. Poor neighbors. I feel very bad for them. Trying to figure out how to play the instrument. And somehow, if you go onto YouTube and you search, it was actually the Uncharted 2, which is a video game composed by Greg Edmondson, an awesome guy, beautiful music. And so the intro part, there's a big like erhu solo. So, I learned how to play the erhu, and you can watch my first performance. And there's a video of it. I was really scared, but I think, that was how I played the erhu.
That's such a great way to go through life. Just say yes and then figure it out, and commit yourself to it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
We have about 3 minutes left, and I have a closing question for you. At this chapter of your life, all of 30 years old, what would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give yourself?
I would say, oh my gosh. I want to say, like, don't worry, everything will fall into place, but I wouldn't because that desperation and that fire and that like confusion and, not having any money, not knowing what to do next, really like freaking out basically, which was not pleasant at the time. But if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I know it sounds a little strange, but I don't think I would actually give myself any advice, because if I did, then I wouldn't learn, and I wouldn't be at this place.
I understand that.
Sorry, bad. Maybe wear like a little less black eyeshadow and like just blend it a little more. That would be okay. I think just learn how to blend.
Learn how to blend.
Yeah, blends, right?
And you're not talking about philosophically. You're talking about
like
visually.
Literally. Yes.
Literally. Learn how to blend.
Yes, learn how to blend your makeup properly, girl.
Is there anything else you would like to tell me or the listeners today? We've got about another minute and a half. What would you like to let them know about yourself?
I would like to say that I am very, very grateful to speak to you, to be on this awesome show, for everyone who's listening or might be listening later on the playback podcast or whatever proper terminology is. And that, I'm just really grateful.
They're archived.
Archived recordings. Because without people to listen to the music and to, it's a relationship. It's not just me doing it for myself. It is me expressing, but then if there's nobody who enjoys or cares to receive, to me, then it becomes a very lonely thing, and it makes life much less lonely because I spend so much of it alone, just working on my music. Yeah, isolating. But when you have like a community of people, which I've been again very lucky to find, on social media, online, with this amazing connected internet age, it really makes everything really fun and kind of a collaborative, friendly environment.
Yeah, it's definitely music is a community or a team activity. It's not a solo endeavor, and I share that with you. I so appreciate our listeners and followers, the people that buy our records and go to our YouTube videos. And I just want to thank you. This is my guest and friend, Tina Guo, cellist, recording artist. Please go to her website. It's so great to talk with you, Tina. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Terry.
My pleasure.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Woolman.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. Pitbullaudio.com.